dialogue beats in the screenplay by spacing down. So there's nothing there, it's just the space. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Here's an example on 64 where they do it the more traditional way. And this is the only time in the whole screenplay that it's like this. You see where old has a line, then there's a beat, and he has a line, there's a beat, and a line, and a beat. This is what you would obviously most commonly see. I'm not sure why they did this here, because again, it's the only time that it's like that in the whole screenplay. But here's how they do it for the rest of the screenplay. It's very unique. Let's look at 89 to get a good example. Old is talking here at the top of the page. He says, "Boo, boo, were you to do?" And then they're indicating here there's a pause, there's a beat. They just skip down to the next line. "Look at ye. Pause, so they skip down to the next line. "Will ye kill me? Will ye?" And then there's blank line, then the final line of the dialogue. It really spaces things out. And you know how I'm always saying that the screenwriters teach us how to read their individual screenplays? Here's another example of this. Earlier, when they first start doing this, they show us a pause, even though it's not put in as a parenthetical. So here, let's look at 64, where Young's talking. He says, "Didn't want to wake you" is all. He spaces down, and then they put in pause, but it's not in the dialogue box. It's out there. It's its own action line. But then it doesn't come back with a character heading. It goes right back into the dialogue. "Long night," pause, and such. This is one, if you're listening to the audio podcast, you really have to kind of see it, because I don't think I'm doing a great job explaining it. But if you see it, you can clearly see what I'm talking about. This does a couple of things. One of the things it does is it creates more white space on the page, and the white space in the screenplay is beautiful. Another thing that it does is, as a reader, it keeps you moving. Sometimes when we have parentheticals just breaking up dialogue, especially if it's a long blocks of dialogue and there are multiple parentheticals in there, it really slows you down, really kind of takes you out of the moment. This way, your eyes just keep going, and you start to realize that that space means the characters are taking a breath, they're pausing. It keeps you going through the story vertically down the page rather than horizontally. But the white space in the screenplay, like I said, magnificent. There's so many great examples of it. In the beginning, there are some pretty large chunks of action lines when they're describing things, setting the scene. But once they get into the story, a lot of white space. Not only because of this skipping down, but two other reasons. One, because of sometimes when a character has nothing to say, they use the technique of the dash dash as a piece of dialogue. That gives us a lot more white space. Plus the formatting of the screenplay. They use the full page layout with the 1.5 inches on the left and the inch on the right and the inch on top and the bottom. Starting to see a lot of these modern screenplays don't do that. They cheat a little bit, take a little off the edges so you can get more words on there. Not here. It gives us a lot of white. Also, they use the 2 line skips before each scene heading. That spaces things out.